Well, all right. Once again, thank you for joining me on this little trip, I guess you would call it. I don't know. Depends on what you want to call it. But once again, my name is Rockstar 73NC, and we're going to we're going to take a little trip, I guess. In case you haven't noticed, the past couple videos I put out were religious based. And that is because, once again, I am a Christian. This video is going to be slightly different. It's going to be slightly different because I think just rock and roll, heavy metal by itself, um, has been attacked by some Christian groups, some Christian writers, and I want to kind of put out a different way of thinking about things. So, their version of everything is that heavy metal rock music is the devil. Well, that's what it is. Um, you know, to these people, I mean, heavy metal is the devil's music. And I realize I'm already probably losing a couple of people dropping off because, well, maybe they believe that. And this is a broadcast from the devil, but no, no, let me clarify. This is definitely not a broadcast from the devil. Why? Because I've thought about talking about this stuff for a long, 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 long time. Um, and even though I don't necessarily do the whole prayer thing like my wife does. I mean, every night, I mean, she sits down and she dedicates time to God and she sits there and prays to Him, and that that's great. That is great because that's how she does it, and that's how she's comfortable doing it, and God respects that, and God does that her way. Me and God have another understanding. I talk to God all day long. Um, you know, it's like he's just one of these. He's just like one of my friends. I mean, he's right there. Um, Once in a while, I'll even speak to him. Like loud, out loud. I mean, I'll be like, "Well, thank you, God." And on other times, I'm just talking to him in my head, but that's the great thing because you're always linked up. It's like you're always on the telephone. You can just call on him in a second, and he's right there. The phone doesn't even have to ring. um, Not necessarily that he's going to answer you back with what you want to hear, but he's there. And um, so I want to keep on the topic of hard rock and heavy metal being devil music. And well, I already got a couple flaws with that. Because there are Christian bands. I know you probably haven't heard of them, but there are Christian bands. In the 80s, there was a Christian band called Striper. Now, I'll admit, Striper was not really my type of music back in the 80s. It was glam rock, but it seemed to be pushy. It seemed to be, I mean, it seemed to be one of the church bands. And even though I, for a long time there, was actually part of a Sunday school. I mean, I taught Sunday school. Um, like I said before in my past videos, I went to a Christian school. I went to a Christian school from second grade, and I left at half of sixth grade because um, I don't know. My parents thought it was a better thing to do, and let me tell you, I hated it. I mean, I did not want to leave Christian school. I mean, but it came with a tuition, and there would also only be like three people in my senior class, and I really believe that my parents thought I needed to be expanded into the world and experience the real world. Um, and because Christian school did give me a very sheltered reality. Um, the wake up call was harsh, let me tell you, but I think it was for a good thing. Um, because, well, I'm not saying that the Christian school couldn't teach me certain things, but I don't know. We don't need to go there, right? Because where are we going? We're going rock and roll, heavy metal. All right. And, well, like I said, we had Striper, or I talked about that, right? So, well, let's fast forward a few years. Well, we have a band called Skillet out there right now. I don't know if you've heard of them. Um, but not only does Skillet have an amazing female drummer slash vocalist, but they are a Christian band. And if you listen to their songs, you can definitely hear it's a Christian band, but they're not rubbing it in your face. They're not being like Striper was. Not saying that that was bad. I mean, how Striper did it, it just didn't work for me at that time. Um, I'm sure there are a lot of um, bands casting crowns. Okay, "Set Me Free." That's an awesome song. I love it. I listened to that after I heard it at my church. I listened to that song. Oh my God, probably 50 times. You know. Now, did I just take God's name in vain? I just said, "Oh my God," and the answer is no, nope, because oh my God. Well, God and me already have an understanding with this one. I mean, we've talked about this, and he knows I didn't mean no offense by that. Um, if anything, I meant it in a hierarchy side of that hierarchy type of way. Um, Sometimes my speech doesn't work the way it should, but anyway, um, keep going on the rock and roll heavy metal part, right? Um, I think possibly what the problem is people hear what they want to hear. Um, a good place to go right now would be D. Snyder's. I guess it would be a Senate hearing. Was that what it was? Um, you know, when D. Snyder basically had the whole Tipper Gore PMRC. I mean, you can check it out because D, as everybody knows, D. Snyder is one of my heroes. All right. I mean, D. Snyder, um, I can't say enough about D. Snyder. Um, does that make me a bad person? No, because I think D's a Christian. I'm not sure, but I think he is. And all of his music, I mean, none of it had anything that I would call satanic. Now, let's just look over D's stuff. Under the Blade. I know that was what Tipper Gore picked out, right? Under the Blade, which was actually a song about throat surgery. And yes, I see how Tipper could have gone her way, but she went her way because she wanted to go that way. Kind of what Dee said to her. But let's just go for another one. Let's go for a song called "Sin After Sin," and I may put the lyrics up, I may not, because I'm going to read them anyway. But let's go ahead and let's look up Twisted Sister Sin After Sin. Um, just because I'm going to start with something that not many people know the song. So I'm actually putting it out there. I am putting it out there on purpose. Okay? Um, because this song is not what you think it is. Sin After Sin. All right. Well, unfortunately, I would love to play the song, but I can't. Um, well, anyway, and I'm not sure how to put it in the links below. I know there's a way to do it, but anyway, let's just look at those lyrics real quick. Um, so you don't realize exactly what you do, and though you never compromise, it's all been up to you. The lie you've been leading has you up here in sin. Now, I always thought it has you upside you're in sin. Um, so I don't know if the lyrics are right or not, or maybe I'm wrong. You never like to think about it. Now you just can't win. You're committing sin after sin. Can't you feel it? Sin after sin. It's so real, it's sin after sin. Just look around you, sin after sin. Satan's found you. Thought yourself respectable, and deep inside you know you violated all the rules and never let it show. Figuring you had time to straighten out the lie you lead, you shouldn't stop to notice, or sorry, you didn't stop to notice as your soul began to bleed from committing sin after sin. Can't you see now, sin after sin? You ain't free now, sin after sin. You're committed to damnation, sin after sin. Lest you repent, there's no salvation. And then we go into kind of a breakdown, I call it. He's manipulating, salivating, promising only lies. First he'll confuse you, then he'll abuse you. He's never on the rise. You've got to realize it's he who tolls the bell. You must open up your eyes before you're burning deep in hell for committing sin after sin. And then the chorus just repeats after that. Um, so, what do you think? Is this a satanic song? Um, No, no, I don't believe it is. Um, Without having to break down the entire song, um, so you don't realize what you do, and though you never compromised, it's all been up to you. Um, I think that very easily, that shows you don't realize what or who you're listening to, because like I said before, I think Satan can be very convincing. Um, the lie you've been leading has you upside your own sin you never like to talk about. Now you just can't win. You're committing sin after sin. Um, I believe this is D just kind of singing about religion in itself. Um, why? Well, like D said, maybe that's because that's what I'm looking for. I'm sure I could find out what the song was all about if I really wanted to, because I am possibly sure there's a Twisted Sister meaning somewheres in here, meaning the internet. But once more, I'm not going to get into that. I think if you listen to the Twisted Sister lyrics, I mean, you can see there is no worshiping of Satan. The closest thing is Satan's found you. Um, well, I hate to tell you, but Satan finds you every day, 24 hours a day. I mean, you know, how about this one? Thought yourself respectable, but deep inside you know you violated all the rules and never let it show. Figuring you had time to straighten out the lie you lead, you didn't start to notice as your soul begun to bleed. I mean, it's talking about how sin attacks. I mean, you could think you are the best person in the world, and you break all these rules that you yourself make for yourself, but you still break them because that's whatever you have to do, right? And then oh, well, you've got time. You know, you can straighten this out, tomorrow or the next day or the next day. If it's even that by itself is kind of saying that your time is limited. Um, and if you listen to my last video, I don't believe it works that way. I believe you get a final chance. But anyway, you don't know what I'm talking about. Well, then go back, listen to my last video, and you find out. Um, so another song, "If My Mind Is Evil," which is by a band called White Lion. Now, White Lion was almost what I would call a hippie band. I mean, White Lion, they made a song for um, the Rainbow Warrior. If you don't know what happened to the Rainbow Warrior was a flagship for, I believe it was Greenpeace, which was like a save the whales, nature type thing. And it was attacked and sabotaged. Um, I don't know the exact details off the top of my head. I've read about it a few times, but um, anyway, White Lion was definitely not known as a satanic band, but it was what you would consider hard rock. Um, so this, in a lot of people's eyes, would be banned. The song goes, "Holy man on the television, read up from the book. 50 million people watching everywhere you look. When you speak of all the sins that every man has done, I wonder where you're going when the show is done. Lock your door, feeling hungry. Want some more? Gotta taste it. But if my mind is evil, then lock me up below and burn my thoughts to ashes till I won't know. You tell me what I should do. You want to take control. You try to reach me inside and change the way I think. It seems to me you want to rule all over me. Why don't you practice what you preach and let me be? Go away. Let me be. I don't need you. Stay away. But if my mind is evil, then lock me up below and burn my thoughts to ashes until I won't know. If your mind is evil, then maybe you should go and save us from your crying. Because we all know." And, I'm probably just going to leave that in there. You've heard that big gap. Well, that's called stuttering. That's what that's called. And I've been a stutterer for years. I usually don't do it on the mic. But let me just go ahead and say, that little block right there, um, when I'm not on the mic, that happens a lot more. And I think right here is where, if you know somebody who stutters, you need to, just, I don't know, just say that you understand. Because let me tell you, stuttering, that's why I went to Christian school, because they didn't really pick on me there. And I learned very quickly, that when I got out of Christian school, um, yeah, they picked on me a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. Um, I mean, that went right up through high school. I mean, um, right up through shop class. I mean, there were a lot of kids that, especially when I was reading, and I think that's what the problem was right there. I was reading the lyrics, and when I read out loud, it really affects me. So, but see, now if you were talking to me just regular one on one, especially if I didn't know you, I don't know how my speech would be, but right now it's actually pretty good. So, but I just wanted to, you heard that block, and that's what it was. You know, trust me, I've learned a long, long, long time ago in a galaxy right here on Earth. Um, I'm really not. ashamed of it. And if I am, I don't let people know about it. You know, um, because well, it hasn't shut me up ever. Um, and right now I'm making YouTube videos, so it still ain't gonna shut me up. All right. So anyway, because we all know, yeah, if your mind is evil, then lock me up. Now see, this person, what they wrote is, yeah, if my mind is evil, then lock Mister up below. Who is Mister? Mister who? Just Mister? Mister Up? Is that like the old man from Up? Is that what his real name is? You know, that little dude, from Up, the old guy. Hopefully, I'm putting a picture of it up right now. But um, maybe that's who Mr. Up is. So, I guess we're just going to lock Mr. Up in hell. Anyway, and burn my thoughts to ashes till I won't know. But if your mind is evil, then maybe you should go and save us from your crying, because we all know. Yeah, if my mind is evil, then lock Mr. Up again. Again, then lock Mr. Up. So it wasn't just a typo. This person definitely thought he heard lock Mr. Up. Now I've got to go listen to the video. So, all right. But anyway, and burn my thoughts below till I won't know. Am I evil? Yes, I am. Okay. Now there is. I know. Calm down. Relax, people. Okay. Does it say, "Am I evil?" Yes, I am. Yes, it does. It says that. And I think that's kind of Mike Tramp's way of saying, you know, do I sin? Yeah, I do. I mean, I think that's Mike Tramp's way of saying, if everything you say is bad, do I do some of that? Yeah. And if everything you say is bad and all what you say is evil, um, do I do all of that? And the answer is, yeah, I drink, I smoke, I don't know, I pop pills, whatever the person's, vices, or, all of these sins, you know, uh, maybe the person cheated on his wife, maybe the wife cheated on her husband. And, oh, yeah, these are all these terrible things. Well, when the camera goes off, what is that person who's up there on stage being holier than thou? What is that person going to do? The lights go off. So, does that person have skeletons in their closet? How many priests? Yeah, I'm going there. How many priests have had sexual charges called against them? Now, yes, granted, some of those they were innocent, but there's some that have been convicted. Um, how many, um, what do you want to call them, evangelists? I don't like labels. So how many people on television that were doing kind of sort of what I'm doing now, um, have sat there and called people out for things, but then been caught doing the same thing? Somewheres I read about a evangelist who was caught with cocaine or something or other. Um, I don't think it was a very well known one, but it was still one, and it was still, that's still somebody who had fans. And, I'm sure they were anti drug, because even I'm anti drug. I mean, there are plenty of drugs that do not need to be legal. So, even I am anti drug. But this guy was like totally, you know, all drugs, The way that a lot of holier than thou people get, where everything you're doing is bad, and but then he turned around and did the same damn thing, the same exact thing. You know, what was it planted by the devil? No, I don't think so. Um, in fact, if I remember right, he admitted to it. Don't quote me because I don't know for sure, but I think he, I think he finally came clean, which would have been the right thing to do because I'm sure that's what God wants you to do. So I'll give him that. He took the right step. You know, um, but the first thing that he did wrong was he just called everybody out for doing what he already did. You know, and I'm sure the list goes on and on. Um, Let me take a drink real quick. How far are we along on this one? 26 minutes. Well, all right. You guys know I like to keep my topics within the 25-minute mark around there somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and slowly back out of this video. Um, Basically, to kind of close everything out, I mean, I know I didn't get to near as much as I wanted to, but if you want to hear more, you can always put it in the comment section. And, if I start getting some people asking for certain topics, I will be glad to comment on those. So if there's something you want, just you want my opinion, or let's just say that there's something you've been thinking about, I mean, I don't know. Let's just say, is money evil? I don't know. I just made something up. But let's just say that's what it is. Um, and you really have things that you're thinking about. Um, well, well, make a comment. I mean, just put a comment in there. Um, Heck, look, I got Facebook, okay? So, maybe you just want to talk about something and you don't even want to put a comment in. Well, put a comment in that you want to talk to me on Facebook. I mean, you know, um, I don't know. No, just so my wife knows because she's my editor. She said I sounded in a couple of videos like I was begging for likes or whatever. And, I'm not begging right now for anybody to do anything. I'm just saying if somebody needs to talk about something or whatever, I mean, we don't have to do it on the air. Um, Hit me up on here and I'll give you my Facebook link and you can talk to me on Facebook. Not saying I'm going to come anything near what everybody else thinks or that I am going to agree with you. But I don't know. Um, I'm willing to do something. You know what I'm saying? So I know. Did that get really dark for a little while there? I mean, was that kind of like, oh, someone needs to talk to me? No. Um, I'm going to go ahead and just say that I love y'all. I'm glad that you stuck around. Stuck around. I'm glad that you stuck around. As long as you did. Um, I don't know. We're on a path here, guys. I don't know where this path is going, but we're on a path, and we're on this path together. So, um, until we meet again, rock on.